there weren't much recycling brand or sustainable brand in the Nepali market, and I wasn't even, to be honest, confident enough that it is going to work. But education background, where you study, who you study with, the amount of exposure you get, that is making the people determine how aware they are and how much they want to practice sustainability. I am more nervous right now because now I know the risk. Like, my first product had failed and some money had gone there. Like, it was some 15,000 or something. So, like, without risk, there won't be any return, right? That's a hard pill to swallow because, yes,
Before I forget.
I love your calls.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I just took a shower. Thank God
It looks really good.
they turned out okay. Usually they're like, very frizzy, but today they turned out okay.
Yeah, like it's so different. Like, first thing I noticed was it was
Oh, thank you. So how have you been?
I've been good. I've been pretty busy and confused lately, but it's been good.
Yeah, thank you for doing this again for the second time. I know that whenever I texted you, I kind of like threw you off because we already did a podcast, but I want to do another one. The one we did earlier was more focused on the whole sustainability idea, but this one I wanted to um, learn more about how, you've been doing business wise and how has all that transpired. So again, thank you
Okay.
for, okay.
My airport fell off. What did you say?
Oh, okay.
Business wise.
Okay.
Yeah, you were saying about the podcast?
Yeah. I'll just jump right into it. So, what made you choose to be like a business person instead of doing a regular 9 to 5 job? Because as a young person,
Um,
especially, I mean, I like business is never really on my mind, and like starting a business. And even if I like, if I've seen someone start a business, is usually when they've gained, some experience, maybe when they're a little middle aged, or when they've already done the 9 to 5 and they want to, like be their own boss. That's when I usually see people start their own business. So it's like, you've actually been like a pioneer of starting a business at such a young age. So how did that happen? What made you become a businesswoman at such a young age?
actually, I do not have much problem with a 9 to 5 job. I had a pretty decent job in an NGO and I was very happy there. But it had been almost like 4 years since I had the basic idea that I wanted to do something in recycling. I wanted to do something in specifically the textile recycling. So what happened was uh, there was one burst of energy at one time, and I used to research a lot, and then that used to die down. And then again, if something happened or if I went to any event, that burst of energy would come, and I would be sharing like, yeah, I also aspire to be an entrepreneur. I also aspire to do something, and it just remained in the talking. And when, like in my job, it was a time for me to transition into a new role or like grow. But what I felt was like, if I transition into a new role and if I grow from here, then my that fire to start a business and to do something of my idea would again be postponed, right? So I was feeling guilty in back of my mind that because uh, when I was free, I always used to research, but I used to be caught up in my safe side, uh, and it was also because I was happy in my job. I used to postpone my plan further and further and further. And when I had to take that decision, either to move forward, transition into a new role, a new learning experience, or should I give my time to dedicating myself towards finally working on my business idea. And I chose the second one because that guilt was really not working for me. Because when I first had the idea, there weren't much recycling brand or sustainable brand in the Nepali market, and I wasn't even, to be honest, confident enough that it is going to work. But when I decided to take that leap of faith, there were a handful of businesses that were well recognized already in the market, and I had a confidence that maybe this is the right time to start the business because finally people are getting aware and it would be much easier for me to start right now. And if I did this later, someone somewhere will do it and it will look like I copied them. Uh, I know there are like a lot of ideas. Many people have the same idea, but I do not want to be that. Like, I do not want to feel like I copied other people. So I decided that I should take this leap of faith and I transitioned into a part-time role instead of getting the promotion, and then I started to research on my business, and yeah, I now I don't have a 9 to 5 job, but that time I did not completely quit the job, but I transitioned into a part-time role and gave time to my business.
That's amazing. I see your business has grown so much, even from like, when we talked last time, since then it has just grown so much. I really didn't want to get so much into the sustainability thing, but since we're talking, in Nepal, especially like the world itself, the sustainability or sustainable lifestyle is the buzzword, right? But do you see
Yeah.
people, especially young people, adopting that lifestyle? Because I have been trying my best to live a zero waste life. Like I've been trying my best. I've been using like plastic-free detergents and plastic-free dishwasher pods and whatnot. But still, I feel guilty for using packaged goods or something that's it's like packaged in plastic. Do you see that awareness that's happening more and more, or are people just like, meh, I mean, I don't care? What kind of attitude are you seeing among youngsters, especially like someone like you who is running a business that's so much focused on sustainability? Do you come across people who are very serious about this issue, or do you see people who really don't care?
I really think that uh, it is depending on what background you are coming from. I mean, I see students of my sister's age who are like 6 years younger than me, aware about sustainability and thrifting and all of that. I see people of my age who are working in the humanitarian field being aware about sustainability. And when I see what is the common point between them, it's really their upbringing and their education background. So, to be honest, since we are in the capital city, like those people who are able to study in a college that gives them exposure regarding the sustainability are aware. In terms of practice, it solely depends on the person's ability, their budget, their time constraints, and everything. If they are able to practice real life or not. Me myself, I'm not able to practice real life because, of course, my budget, my time, my lifestyle constrains me from doing everything zero waste. Before I used to think that you should be zero waste, and suddenly, like people are doing it worldwide. Why can't an individual do completely zero waste? But when I started a business, like even in my upcycling brand, even though we say we are a sustainable brand, there are still limitations where we are not able to be completely sustainable or completely go zero waste. And same goes with the business. Like it completely depends on cost and constant. In terms of awareness, as I said, like the education background, where you study, who you study with, the amount of exposure you get, that is making the people determine how aware they are and how much they want to practice sustainability. Yeah, so yeah, it's like a lot of things depend. Like we cannot be expecting everybody to be aware
Yeah.
because honestly, like it's not just about awareness. Like really depends, like you said, like the education background and your upbringing really defines how much you can contribute to being like a sustainable like liver. No, not liver, sorry. I remember that meme. Yeah, how much you can contribute to a sustainable lifestyle.
Yeah, it's just like how much effort you put. Nobody, like, I don't think, if even if somebody tries like 100%, there's no way we can live a zero waste lifestyle. We just try. We try to minimize waste production as much as we can. Moving on to more towards your business side, whatever you shared, it's an amazing story. I can only imagine, like how nervous you were when you started it. Like it's a big risk. There's like a risk of failure, there's risk of so many challenges. So what challenges did you face, or are you facing, like, even now as a young entrepreneur? What are some of the challenges, if you could walk us through those?
So, what you asked is like how scared I was while starting the business, right? To be honest, if I remember, I wasn't that scared while starting a business because it used to feel like I'm working on a new project. I just finished my bachelor's, the COVID had just ended, and I was about to start my master's, and I started to actually work on researching for my business. To be honest, that felt like I did not know that so much risk was involved because I had my savings at that time. I used some of my savings on prototyping and researching, and to be honest, I wasn't that scared. Like, of course, that like fear of people judging after you launch the business was there, but the amount of appreciation I got since I started the sustainable business was overwhelming. It was very positive, so I wasn't scared at that time. But right now, after almost 1.5 years of officially registering and running the business, I am more nervous right now because now I know the risk. Like, my first product had failed and some money had gone there. Like, it was some 15,000 or something. So, like, it twisted. I have recovered that. But that 15,000 did not feel so scary at that time than how much it feels scary right now. Like, it's like four people are depending on us for their income generation. We have like we have built a community of almost 2,300 people in Instagram itself. So many people know about us, and right now after starting a business, and when people look up to you and when people are actually depending on they're living for you become nervous. Like, if I fail at few things, if I make a big mistake, then it will not only affect me, my brand and my business, but also them. And that's very scary, I guess. Like, money is there, but like, the amount of trust that people have given us, the number of people that are depending on us, it's like it's scary right now that it was before. I think it will be scary, even more scary later. The more we grow, the bigger risk we take. Like, I guess it's this is what entrepreneurship is, being scared and moving on. Yeah,
So you're more scared now as opposed to
yeah.
when you started. That's wow, that's rare. Again, as you said, probably the added responsibility and like you're in a leadership position and all that adds up. You mentioned about social media and how there's like 2,300 or like around that number of followers on Instagram. And I wanted to ask you about that because I see your content. You've made some like very like interesting reels and like like there's like a little skit. So that's really amazing. How important is social media to grow a business in today's day and age, and how much has it helped your business?
To be honest, like, social media has been a huge boon for us because, as I said, like, I was still a student. I had only got out of my first design job, and of course, like, the cost of starting a business has become really less because of the social media. Because in the traditional time, you had to have a shop, you had to pay huge rents and everything. But right now, since as you mentioned, like, you notice our content, right? Our content is like our major strategy to build our brand awareness, and that has worked for us. Like, we are using our content, and we are using whatever talent that our team has to build that brand awareness, and it's all because of the social media. Because uh, we are just starting out to look for the physical outlets where we can put our products, and store is still not in the immediate plan. So it was all social media till now, literally Instagram and TikTok. Right now there is no TikTok, but it's still Instagram. So it has played a huge role for us since this 1.5 years.
That's amazing. Um, I I get that you've mentioned now how scared you've been because now there's so much responsibility added to you and so many like you have employees who depend on you. What other challenges have you faced so far as a young entrepreneur other than that?
So, honestly saying, like, the first thing you mentioned during the podcast, like, people work for like years and years, and when they reach like the midlife or something, they get a 95 and they have enough experience and they start a job. So, that is one way. And people do that, of course, with a lot of experiences. But since I started out early, I feel like I missed out on a lot of learning by working with other people. So, I had mostly worked in startups before, and I had not worked yet in a corporate field. So right now, while growing my business and scaling my business, I am quite struggling on like how to take the next step forward, how things work in the next step, because I had mostly worked in startup, and I had mostly worked in the companies that were less than 6 or 7 years old when I was working a corporate job. So it's like quite a struggle because I'm unaware of how things go ahead. So I think that was a little bit of my decision making part that I should have thought of before, but I did not know that problem would arise. So right now I'm struggling on that. Like, we're in a growing phase, and it's a struggle to figure everything out since you haven't learned from others on what mistakes to avoid and what to do.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, I mean, not working in a corporate world, that can definitely, like you don't know what the next step is. I
Yeah.
have just one last question for you. What do you want to tell young people who are maybe scared to start their own business or are not sure if they should even like, jump into it because I mean, A, because they're young, B, because they're a woman, and C, I mean, starting a business is anyway scary, right? What do you have? What tips can you give to those women or anyone for that matter who want to start a business?
So to anyone who wants to start a business, like I just feel like there is no exact right time. I started after I did not want to transition in another role in my corporate job or like 9 to 5 job. People start after they retire or people quit in their super growth stage when they're at the peak and they just don't feel happy and all. So I don't feel like there is any exact formula that when you should start a business. It's like trust yourself and believe in your intuition that you are ready to start a business now. And after you start a business, like you really have to be very patient. Like patience is like, oh my God, I've never been this patient in my life, to be very honest. Like you have to be very, very patient and there are going to be so much of hardships and struggles. And if you're starting a business, make sure that you're doing something that you really care about because when the hardships comes you'll remember how much you'll remember all the opportunity costs that you let go of because of the business and that opportunity cost will not leave your head if you are not like if you do not like actually care about what you're doing and if you care enough, then you can let those opportunity costs set aside and be more patient and focus on the struggles that is going on and be able to overcome whatever the problem you're facing. So like main thing is to care about what you're doing if you really want to continue and grow your business.
What kind of opportunity cost are you talking about? Is it like missing out on developing a skill, working a 9 to 5, or
The opportunity cost, it means that since I'm 25 years now, like most of my friends are also working, right?
yeah,
So 9 to 5 job is if you get the job and if you get a good paying job, it's always a safer option. And you have like safety net and something like that. But when you're starting a business, there is always a risk associated. And if you are the founder or co-founder yourself, then you're the main risk taker. So that safety net is kind of an opportunity cost, which is something that will bother you. But if you are really passionate about the business that you're doing, of the cause you are looking after, then that opportunity cost would feel a little bit less of a burden since you care about your impact.
yeah. So just get started on something that you actually care about and not just start a business just for the heck of it or for money.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly
Yeah.
my point. Yeah.
Yeah. How I know, I mean, this I might be going off on a tangent here, but I mean, whenever we talk about business, we talk about money as well, right? And since we are just talking about money right now, how have you been looking at money differently ever since you started a business? Because I've heard this a lot that people who are in business, they're very money minded or they look at money differently. Has your um uh viewpoint towards money changed after you became a businesswoman?
Of course, it has changed. Oh my God! Like when I started to first earn, like I felt so independent that I was able to stand on my own feet. I don't have to take pocket money from my parents at home, and I used to be like, "This is my money. I can do whatever I want with it." But after you start a business, and after you take risk, and after you lose money, after you gain money, and you have to manage money and everything, like in a way, you start become somewhat stingy but you need to understand that without risk, there won't be any return, right? That's a hard pill to swallow because yes, you become stringent. Money becomes so much valuable because the more you invest, you expect some amount, some multiple times it will give you more return, right? So
Yeah.
that way you have to take the risk and you cannot be stringent all the time. If you're stringent all the time, you miss out on growth, of course. But if you're not careful, you lose the money. So it's like you have to be very careful. Even personally, since now it's been quite a time that we have to manage money and we have to think about it a lot. Personally, also I've been starting to save a lot, and I'm really starting to spend only on the things that I need because Now I understand how important money is and how important it is to save. So yeah, it plays. It's like financial decision making matter. It really makes you grow like a lot being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, taught you about money that school didn't, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It will, you'll only learn once you have to actually deal with it. It's not something that someone will teach you in the with the lectures and everything. Until and unless you feel it, you would not understand.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's all the questions I had. Thank you for being here again. Is there anything that I didn't ask or anything you want to share or talk about your brand or anything else you want to just say before we wrap it up?
Yeah, so you had asked something about being a woman entrepreneur, and I had answered only if being an entrepreneur. So yeah, uh, in the beginning, I used to feel that I did not face that much of struggle being a woman entrepreneur before, but right now, like being assertive is so much important, right? And the more you are growing your business, the more you need, like you need to learn how to be assertive along with being empathetic. Like now that with so many added responsibilities, you have to learn to say no, and you have to like stand up towards anything that doesn't align. So at that point, like being a woman, sometimes you get looked upon like you're so assertive, like like are you arguing or like and even it's not just while dealing with men, it's also while dealing with women, like any gender. Like if you're too assertive, you'll be sound too bossy. And I used to only see the reels and posts about it, like if you are a woman entrepreneur, you should learn to be assertive, you should own it. I used to be like, okay, I haven't been there, but maybe, but now I'm feeling it. Like, oh my God, yes, this is true. But I'm learning how to deal with it again. And another part is that about sustainability. So uh, it also depends upon the background that you are brought up in, the studies, where you studied, who you network with, but it's also the lifestyle that you've been already living. So not just in the this urban area, but even in the any area of wherever you've been brought up in. If you've seen and lived the sustainable lifestyle, you will understand what is sustainable. And if you have not, then no amount of awareness will make you feel that you have to live a sustainable life. I think that's all that I have to say.
Yeah, I'm really glad you brought that up because ever since I've lived like quite a few years here in the US, and when I look back at my life in Nepal, I mean the things we did by default, those were like sustainable habits
Exactly.
because I mean like here you buy like new jar, new like storage box for everything, that's like the common practice. But back in Nepal, I mean, we used to just fill up like like the old Horlicks or like the old complex,
Exactly.
like put like
Yeah.
lentils in that, put dal or whatever in that, right? And
Exactly.
use
Yeah.
like old ragged clothes for cleaning the house and all that. And
Exactly.
we were actually like reusing and recycling so much stuff without even realizing it. And now it's like the
Yeah.
buzzword here, and like everyone's trying to lead that lifestyle. But we were anyway living a very, very sustainable lifestyle by default. So I think it's important to recognize that as well. And
Yeah. Exactly. Like,
and I mean,
yeah.
like,
Exactly. Like.
go ahead,
So
go ahead,
sorry, you bring up.
go ahead.
Yeah. So I had recently met with a lot of people who were passionate about sustainability just a few days ago, and we are talking about the same thing, right? It's not just about the networking and your study background, right? So many people who come from diverse background really knew what sustainability was from the core. Like maybe not in these terms, like not in terms of this big jargon of circularity or sustainability of zero waste. Like I'm saying, this is what academics teach you, and networking teach you, right? But the sustainability lies in the core basic practices, Nita. So if you practice it, like you'll understand that those things are sustainable. The basic things, okay? Sustainability is really the basic things that you practice in your life. And yes, academic background, the networking, your schooling and everything does play a big role, but it's completely the habits that make you practice sustainable life.
Yeah, only if I could merge like those two lifestyles, the way people live in the US and the way people live in Nepal. Like we use so much paper towels here, it's just crazy. And we never use paper towels back in Nepal. Like there's no thing like as such, like yeah,
I know.
there's no
I
such
don't
thing
even
as
know if
paper
paper
towel.
towel actually dries up anything. I just feel like paper towel will just tear
Yeah,
up with you.
yeah, I don't know.
No idea.
And yeah, and the other day I saw this ad on TV, like comparing paper towel with like a dishcloth and saying how dishcloth is dirty and all that. I was like, oh my God, like they're trying to like brainwash the people that you're actually better off using a paper towel. But I mean, yeah, sometimes I just sit back and I think about, oh my God, like just the default lifestyle, just the way we lived back in Nepal, it was just so much sustainable. And by the end of the day, we used to have just like like one small bag of waste to throw away, but now we have like this huge like 30 gallons of 13 or I don't know, probably 13, yeah, probably 13 gallons of bag to throw away. Like it's just the amount of waste that we produce here is like so much compared to what it was in Nepal. So it's just, yeah, I mean each to its own, but we just have to be mindful and try to be as sustainable as possible and not create so much waste, use less plastic. I mean, this could be a whole different conversation altogether. People using like so many balloons and like it's just, yeah, it's just crazy. I don't know if you agree with that or not, or I don't know, this podcast will be
I
longer.
agree with that. I completely agree with that. It's like we have the uh, the availability of easy products are marketed so much that, as you said about paper towel, right? Like one time use, like people are like it's like leveraging your time for the unsustainable products. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like people are really busy nowadays. They have to achieve a lot. They have to get on track with whatever the other people are doing. And people, it's like a huge FOMO for the people if they're missing out. I mean, people try to lessen their time as much as possible in the things. So, as you said, like just using the same towel, washing it, drying it, and using it again is more sustainable than getting the paper towel, drying it, and then throwing it, and then sending it to recycling, and then again buying the other paper towel. Like it's
Yeah.
like costing you more, but even though it's like taking your time, but it's still costing you less and it's more sustainable than something that is like you're actually creating waste and spending more money there. I don't
Yeah.
understand that. Maybe because I don't believe in that, or my values don't align with
Yeah.
one-time use things, single-use things. Like I really don't understand. When you said people are actually marketing paper towel versus the traditional towel, I was like, please, that should not happen in
I
Nepal.
saw that ad like I think yesterday. I saw that ad yesterday, literally yesterday. Yeah. I was like, what the hell? And I have been I'm guilty of using paper towels because I mean it's the norm here, but I'm really trying to cut it completely, like cut it out completely, and hopefully I can do it by the end of this month. But anyway, I think we went on different topics here, but I mean it's a wholesome podcast. Hey. Um
Exactly.
yeah, so I really, really appreciate your time and thank you for sharing about your business, all the challenges that you face as a young person, as a woman entrepreneur. We talked a little bit about sustainability and thank you for all the advice you gave to the young people who want to maybe start their own business one day. Thank you very much, Nasana. And unless you have anything else to add, do you have any final comments?
Oh no. So it was very lovely to talk to you again. And like, I think you approached me in the right time because it was a whole different time before, well, about 1.5 year ago, maybe.
Mhm.
And it's a whole new experience right now. And like, I'm happy to share about my new learnings with you in this podcast. And I'm really happy that to talk to you again.
Yeah, same here.
Thank you
And
for having me.
yeah, and I know your products are, you don't ship overseas, do you? Your products? Not
We
yet.
haven't yet
Not
because we
yet.
haven't found really much partners there.
Okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, I'll probably buy something from you whenever we meet, or like, I'll definitely, I'll promote it as much as I can. But again, thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Yeah. Bye bye. Thank you.